So, we're going to dive into something pretty mind-blowing. What if you could take something tangible, something real, like a building or a famous painting, and turn it into a digital asset you could trade on your phone? It's an idea that's totally blurring the lines between the physical and digital worlds. So let's get into it.
I mean, really think about it. Have you ever seen a brand new skyscraper or an incredible piece of art and just thought, man, I wish I could own even a tiny fraction of that? Usually that feels like a total pipe dream, right? Something for the super rich. Well, what if I told you that's all starting to change?
The way this becomes possible is through something called real-world asset tokenization. Basically, you're creating a digital twin, a token, for a physical thing. This simple idea completely blows the doors open for how people can invest, breaking down all those old barriers.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we gotta start at square one. What in the world are we even talking about when we say real-world assets? Let's break it down.
It's actually super simple. These are the valuable, traditional things all around us. Stuff you can see, you can touch, or that's already part of the regular financial system. Totally separate from the whole crypto world.
Yeah, we're talking about things like the apartment building on your block, that famous painting you'd see in a museum, timeless commodities like gold and silver, and even financial stuff like loans and bonds. These aren't just random items, they're the pillars of the global economy.
You know, for the longest time, investing in these things was, well, a nightmare. You needed a ton of money, you had to sift through mountains of paperwork, and you were always dealing with middlemen like banks. It was slow, it was clunky, and it was exclusive. Tokenization just flips that whole script. Which brings us to the really big question, why are we even doing this? What's the point of taking a perfectly good building and putting it on a blockchain? Well, the answer is all about solving some really old problems in the investing world, especially around access and speed.
It really boils down to 4 huge game changers. First, fractional ownership. You don't need to buy the whole building anymore. You can just buy a brick, metaphorically speaking. This leads right to the second point, liquidity. Selling a single brick is way easier and faster than selling a whole building, right? And it's all tracked with total transparency on a blockchain. Plus, it's got global access, so anyone, anywhere can get involved. By breaking down these massive assets into tiny, affordable digital pieces, we're completely changing who gets a seat at the table when it comes to building wealth. It's a huge step towards making finance more inclusive for everyone. And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea for the future. This is happening right now, and it's already a huge growing market. Let's take a peek at the numbers. Let's just start with the raw number. Right now, in 2024, the total value of all these tokenized assets is already at nearly $16 billion. That tells you this isn't some small experiment anymore. There is serious money flowing into this space. And it's not slowing down. In fact, it's speeding up. Projections are showing that number could jump to over $25 billion by next year. That's not just steady growth, that's an explosion as more and more people are catching on. We're even seeing this play out on major blockchains like Ethereum. On some of the key platforms connecting old finance to new finance, over half, 58% of all their activity is now related to these real-world assets. That's a massive signal that the focus is shifting. And this is all being powered by some really innovative platforms like Ondo Finance and Centrifuge. You can think of them as the companies building the digital plumbing and the new marketplaces that let all of this happen. Okay, enough with the big numbers and theory. Let's make this real. How would this actually work for someone like you or me? Let's walk through a super simple example. Okay, picture this. There's an amazing apartment, but it costs $500,000. For most of us, that's a non-starter, right? But what if you could divide that property's value into 500,000 little digital tokens, each worth just $1? Suddenly, you can invest just $100, get 100 tokens, and boom, you own 0.02% of that apartment.
And this is the magic part. You're not just buying some digital coin that goes up and down. You own a verified slice of a real apartment. That means you could get a piece of the rent it collects every month or a piece of the profit if it gets sold down the line. It's real ownership, just made accessible.
So you can see, this is way more than just a new trend. The lines between what's physical and what's digital are disappearing, and it's creating opportunities we couldn't have even imagined a few years ago. The question isn't if this is going to change finance, but how fast, and what it really means to own something in this new world.
This is just day 1. Tap subscribe so you don't miss day 2. where I'll show you exactly how real-world assets are turned into tokens on the blockchain.